everyone, and welcome to another episode of ParaMindful, a bi-weekly show where we talk about paranormal, supernatural, and general spooky-ooky-ish. I'm your host, Melball, coupled today with Kojima for as long as he sits on my lap. Over there is Alex, and down there is Karl. Karl, how are you doing today?
I am tired. It has been long work days, I won't lie.
Relatable, relatable. Alex, how
Yes.
are you doing today?
I'm in the same boat. Blue
It's a
collar
tired
worker,
Wednesday.
blue collar worker, working my ass off.
Well, that being said, let's get into some fun stuff to take away from the tired stuff. Today's episode, we're talking about the Mothman, the idea of the Mothman, the history of the Mothman. He's not just a North American, urban legend, as we've kind of come to find out. Alex, you want to get us into the humble beginnings or first initial sightings of the Mothman here?
Well, Mothman as we know it, um, seen in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 1966, November 15, and it like the whole experience in West Virginia lasted roughly a year. I think it was like a year and a day, whatever it was, until December. No, it would have been 13 months. So it's a year and a month. December 15th, 1967. And that all culminated in something that we'll talk about in a little bit. So,
Excellent,
so the
excellent.
first time it was seen was the 15th of November in
Mhm.
66. And the first time it was reported was the 16th. So the day after.
Okay. And like, what did people say that they were seeing in this thing, this creature?
Do you want me to answer that one or?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Red glowing eyes. Although I have reports that I will talk about in a bit of glowing yellow, glowing orange, and glowing red, and a bunch of other colors and stuff. So,
Mhm. Now, from what I understand, the Mothman, he's not a from what like lizard men or dog men or like that kind of chupacabra kind of idea. He's not a thing that is kind of coming in with the intention of attacking or maiming or mauling or that kind of bad mojo jojo, right? He just kind of chases and intimidates, correct?
maybe.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yeah, that's really all depending on the different reports that have come out, right? Like,
Okay.
yeah, I mean different people are obviously going to have different stories on what they've seen and what's happened to them.
Mhm.
So it's I don't know, it's an interesting case anyways, or a series of cases from, yeah, like you said, all over the world.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
the issue of labeling it not dangerous or whatever, or dangerous, is
Mhm.
it all depends on the angle at which you look at the Mothman and what his or her or its intention is, right? So, there's the theory that it is out there to warn people that something bad is going to happen. But then there's the averse where some people think that it is the harbinger of doom, like it is going to be doing something. It is going to cause something negative to happen. But
Mhm.
how would we ever know which one is which, right?
Mhm. Mhm. I mean, with Point Pleasant, it did kind of just show up like a certain amount of time before a major kind of catastrophe,
Yeah.
which being the bridge collapse.
So 13
There,
months. 13
13.
months. 13-1-3.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we know from the
Very interesting,
paranormal
right?
kind of research that's not particularly a very good number.
Right.
No.
And I don't know if you guys want me to get into the other um, incidents, I guess, right now, or if you want me to save it for later. But
Yeah, no, let's get into it.
all right. Well, I got a list here. So
Give
there was
us
the
the list.
what's that?
Give us the list. Is it
So
the list
I
of
think
Jericho?
I think that most people know about Chernobyl and reactor number 4 and how it exploded and Radiation went all over the place, and now that whole area is contaminated to the point where nobody can live there. However, interestingly enough, nature is still living there, and it's getting crazy awesome. So, anyways, um, around so Chernobyl was the reactor, or sorry, the where the nuclear plant was. Outside of Chernobyl, there was a little village called Pripyat, and Pripyat for what was it? It would have been, oh, I think it was just a couple days, 4 days, 5 days prior to the explosion. They had seen the Mothman. Several um, accounts, I guess, several reported accounts to. I don't know if it was the FSB back then, or I guess it wouldn't be FSB. Would have been FSB is the new one. KGB. I don't know who they would have, but they're whoever policing authority was there. They had reported that, and yeah, and then if we move forward in time, we end up with 9/11, which obviously terrible thing. But 5 days prior to 9/11, there were sightings of um, a winged hominid um, around, like not just around as in like around the city of New York, but like around the building. And there's people who have taken or who said they took pictures, and I look at those pictures and I think that they're fake. I mean, you look at them, think what you will, but I look at them and I look at them from a skeptical believer's point of view, and I say, listen, I have Photoshop too, so but I don't doubt that they saw something. I don't know. After that was 2007, and in Minneapolis there was a bridge collapse on the I-35. But a month prior, in the area of Minneapolis, people had seen what they believe was the Mothman, and it's it didn't actively hurt anybody, you know what I mean, like itself, but we don't know if maybe it caused something or if it was just kind of warning us. Um, but if you move forward in time, so closer to where we are now, in 2009, I don't know if you guys remember that whole swine flu deal where it was supposed to be just like COVID, but it never really came to North America, I guess. Or I
Right.
guess it did. It was in Mexico, I should say. I mean, like United States, Canada, and I can't speak for anywhere else, but in Mexico, they got smoked really, really hard. And in the province of Chihuahua, um, they, there you go. um, they had a
You did your
huge
part. Good job.
outbreak of swine flu, and prior to, they had also seen several Mothmen, moth women. I don't know what it would be, but yeah. So that's
Maffies?
all I have personally. But do you guys have any stories?
Carl, did you mention that you had a story about it in Germany?
I do, yes. Freiburg, Germany, and it actually involved miners. So again, another Mothman-like creature, kind of scared these miners out of the mine before it actually collapsed. So yeah, and then we talked Chernobyl, we talked 9/11. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The very first sighting was actually by 5 people at the same time. Is that
Uh,
correct?
it was four. So it was
Four?
two
Yeah, the
two
two
couples
couples.
in a vehicle driving on a back road.
Okay.
Um, I use back road loosely because at the time around West Virginia, all the roads were dirt road back roads kind of thing. So
Right.
it's not like it was a road that was traveled once in a month. It was traveled quite often. Um, but they had witnessed glowing eyes that actually had chased their vehicle and kept up with their vehicle as it was driving. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, then I guess I have another case that because my notes are completely messed up then for some reason. But I have another one apparently where 5 men were in a cemetery. They were actually
yeah,
preparing a grave,
yeah.
and they saw what they believe to be a winged creature, a humanoid creature that lifted
Mm.
up off of the ground and went like beyond the trees. And they say that it was not a bird. It 100% was not a bird, but it looked humanoid.
That's correct. And now that you
Mhm.
mention that, I had watched a show. It would have been many moons ago, but they had tried to imitate it, try to recreate it
Okay, did
by
it all
means that
become?
would have been available in
Mhm.
the late '60s. And
Okay.
no, there's no way you're mistaking that for, you know what I mean? Because they don't have drones to be able to lift things up. You know what I mean. So what they were
Mhm.
using was a pulley system and a rope, and then like allowing it to swoop. I'm like, who goes through that? Like, you know. So I, that's why, yeah. So that one reminds me. So that's why I believe that one legit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it came from the ground around these people. It's not like they were in a car where they could have maybe mistaken something for um, whatever, a pelican or whatever, right? So
Or a crane or
yeah,
an owl or something.
yeah,
Yeah, and
um, yeah.
it's very interesting the stories where these people are just simply kind of seeing it, and then these very strange kind of almost natural disasters kind of occur. With the situation in Germany where it actually moved people away from the disaster. Carl, do you think maybe that the Mothman is acting as protector in this situation, or do you think it's just sitting there going like coming around and being like, "So bad-ish is gonna happen. You just wait for it."
So I yes and no, I guess is the answer that I have for that. Just like us, the human race, we have good people and we have bad people. And if by chance there are several moth creatures that are out there, why couldn't there be good ones and bad ones? Ones with morals and ones that maybe don't have as many morals. So I think depending on what the situation is, could maybe determine whether or not it was there to help or hinder.
Mm-hmm. Because
Yeah,
with
it's
the
interesting.
situation with Point Pleasant, it almost kind of seems like it was just there, like you doing the kind of TikTok, carrying cross, you just wait. But then, like with again with the situation with Germany, it removed the miners from that hostile situation. So it almost kind of brings kind of something like that, like what you said to agreements there. Alex, what do you think? You look like you want to jump in there.
I Okay, so we all have the idea of what a cryptid would be, like
Mm-hmm.
a living being that is um, not scientifically proven yet. You know what I mean? What if? Okay, so I have a couple theories here. What if the Mothman is a man or a woman from the future coming back to watch this crazy shit? Like maybe it's a um, I don't know, it's one of those sick perverts who like to watch bad shit happen.
So say that's one hell of a costume to come back
Uh,
in.
Maybe it's the future. Maybe it's the future of time travel. Who knows? Um, but I was talking with you guys earlier, and I like to think that it's something more spiritual. I don't mean spiritual as in the religious point of view, but I personally lean towards maybe it collects energy off of bad things happening.
Okay.
So I use the example of a river, and maybe there's energy that flows through everything all the time. We obviously don't see it. We don't. I mean, maybe we do feel it. Who knows? Um, but if there's a block somewhere, maybe that's what attracts the Mothman, and that Mothman gets whatever it needs from that blockage. But at the same time, it's also destroying that dams to allow the energy to continue flowing. I don't
Mm.
know. I don't think we'll ever know, but
So sort of almost like a spectral being or like a phantom of some kind that
yeah,
that does something with
like
like the natural.
yeah, I use the
Float the boat.
example of um, um, what is it? A psychic vampire. So you go out to a party or whatever, and you're talking to somebody, and it could be a good chat or whatever, but after you're done talking to this person, you're completely wiped. You have
Mhm.
no energy. All you want to do is go home and sleep because these people, maybe unknowingly, maybe knowingly, who knows, are feeding off of your energy
Mhm.
and you end up tired, you know? I'm sure
Mhm.
we've all dealt with people like that.
It's called falling in love, boys.
Single for life. No.
Oh, but it does kind of almost does almost kind of seem like that because these things that it almost seems like it is kind of more times than not showing up and just kind of watching like a perv in a
Yeah.
white van for a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
until things go sideways and then they just kind of creep off before the police show up,
Exactly. Exactly right. Like
Mhm.
one of those reporters for those really trashy newspapers. They're like, or like, what do they call them? Ambulance chasers for lawyers who are waiting for accidents to happen so they can scoop right in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like because like I don't feel like the Mothman or Moth thing is necessarily creating these events, but it's almost like it kind of knows that they're happening,
Or they
which
will
begs the
happen.
question: how natural are these natural disasters if this thing is being or is it something that what you've suggested, Alex, where it's almost like a future thing where it knows and it's just kind of coming
Yeah.
to
So
kind of watch and eat popcorn.
when you pull it apart and you look at it, obviously you have 9/11, which was not done by Afghanis. It was actually done by Emiratis and Saudis, is what they say. Um, so those are people who are doing it, right? It's not a. I don't know if it would be. It's uh, natural is very very used loosely in that
Hmm.
situation. A bridge collapsing. So there was an islet, I believe, on the Silver Bridge in West Virginia in Point Pleasant, and it had become weakened, and then that's why the bridge collapsed. So again, is that natural, sort of, like through usage or whatever?
Hmm.
But originally, it would have been a man-made issue that wasn't
Hmm.
thought of.
Hmm.
Same with the bridge in Minneapolis, right? So
Hmm.
Chernobyl, again, another one of those human things because they
Hmm.
were running a test and that test failed dramatically, um, arguably dramatically. Um, so um, I feel like there's an element of not time travel, but like the ability for someone to foresee the future or something to foresee the future and know where to be at the time. That's why I don't know if it would actually be the cause of and more
Hmm.
of a harbinger of doom. So it's like you look at it, you're like, oh shit, something bad's gonna happen.
Hmm. It's almost like it knows how inherently stupid we are, maybe as human beings.
Well,
um
yeah.
Because yeah, the reactor blowing up. Obviously, that was a human error in some way, shape, or form. And same with both bridges. We made something unnatural in a natural environment. It would be in only a matter of time before it would eventually break down. But how does it know so specifically when?
that's
Like
that's why I
that is the age-old question.
that's why I had mentioned it seems like somebody can foretell the future, right? Or something
Mhm.
can.
But
Um,
would that make it the fortune teller, or is it getting the knowledge somewhere? Is it a
or
spiritual being that can feel it?
is it coming back in time? Time travelers.
Right.
Let's do the
It's
time
John
warp
Titor, if you guys know what I'm
again.
talking about. John Titor? No? Anybody know?
Interesting. Such an interesting topic, this Mothman, because it's it's creepy, and it's something that really weirds people out. And also at the same time, it it's almost like it weirds people out without functionally doing anything except for being there. Like, just knowing that it's potentially in the area, like for myself, if it started getting sighted around Edmonton, I'd be like, deuces, bye, we're out. We're going to Canmore for the next year, because I'm not waiting around to find out if the river valley is going to explode, or if CFB Edmonton here is just going to, go nuclear and get attacked by the Russians. I don't know.
Unless
No.
there's Russians watching this, then it was the Serbians. And
Yeah.
if it's
Or
the
the
Serbians watching this, it was the
Chinese.
Chinese. And if it was the
Right.
Chinese watching this, it was the Japanese, etc., etc., etc. Um,
Just blame the next person.
yeah.
It's not us.
The Mothman, as we know it, like if we were to see it and not know the story behind it, we would look at it and be
Mhm.
like, "Holy crap, what the hell is that?"
Mhm.
The reason why we know it is there was a guy named Gray Barker who in 1970 he wrote a book called The Silver Bridge,
Okay.
and in it he describes the events that led up to the Silver Bridge collapse and the sighting of Mothman and stuff like that. However, it wasn't until 5 years later when John Keel wrote his book, The Mothman Prophecies, that everybody knows because they made it into movie, a movie that is very um, loosely
Mhm.
imitating the book, I might add.
Very loosely,
But
yeah.
great movie though,
Mhm.
top drawer. Um, but anyways, after
Drawer?
that is when what's that? Sorry,
Drawer?
yeah, top drawer. That means it's the best.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's not the bottom drawer where you keep like the socks and stuff, right?
I mean, we keep different things in our drawers, clearly.
Okay. Um, but yeah, so I mean that's where we know the Mothman prophecies from, right? So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
or that's where we know the
Mhm.
Mothman from, I should say. So, but yeah,
Now, there was also some stories about the eyes, that we kind of had discussed, been being very very odd in where they were kind of situated on the Mothman, and that was that they were almost more in the chest as opposed to the head. Do we think, is something I had thought of since, do we think that those are actually legitimate eyes, or are they just a defense mechanism to make you really scared of it and not want to approach it?
I never thought of that. Yeah, I mean, thinking
Yeah.
about it, it maybe it is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we have different animals in, in our realm right now, like,
Hmm.
the peacock, right? Like if it's going to get defensive, it opens itself up, right?
Hmm.
Different animals will do different
yeah,
things. It's very
Hmm.
possible that this could actually be a defense mechanism, or maybe a beacon of calling, saying, "Hey, I'm here. Look at me."
yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
That could very well be another thing, and
True.
yeah, because no. So I shouldn't say this. Apparently only one person has ever actually seen the face of this cryptid,
Oh,
and that person has gone on record saying that it is extremely terrifying and pure evil, and that's
interesting.
it. And they have not, like, they've never really said anything more than
Hmm.
that. They haven't been able to actually describe anything of it other than pure evil. And to this day, this person actually suffers from terrible nightmares
Hmm.
and nervous breakdowns
Hmm.
after seeing this. So
That's interesting. I've
yeah.
never heard that one. I have heard, um, and this is why I understand what you're saying about the glowing red as being like a defense mechanism,
Hmm.
but by all accounts, it doesn't look like it has a head. You know what I mean? So it'd be like my shoulders with eyes, right? You know what I mean? So, um,
Tomohiro Ishii of the bird realm.
But then again, they also say it has 10-foot wings, so maybe the wings start back here. Who knows?
Mhm. It would
So
make sense with the muscleage. I mean, if you're going to be carrying, we see the size of the wingspan versus the birds now. I mean, the what is it, the California condor that has
the
the
biggest, yeah,
largest wingspan? I mean, it's
yeah.
not the size of a human
But
being.
the thing is though, like when you look at a bird, their bones are they're full of. I shouldn't say they're full of holes. They're full of air pockets. They're very very
Yeah,
light.
they're very hollow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to what it would take to lift a human, you know? Or, I mean,
Mm,
whatever this thing is, however much this thing weighs. It could weigh 50 grams, it could weigh 50,000 pounds, who knows, right? But
right.
I'm
Yeah,
curious
I
as to
didn't even
how
think
much,
about that.
how strong or how large wings would have to be to actually lift, like me, for example,
Hmm.
Just random
We'll
thought.
even go to think about it. I mean, if the Mothman is even human, right? Like it looks humanoid, but does that mean that its insides are strong
Right,
like us? Does it have the same kind of bone makeup, or is it
right.
more like a bird and has those kind of air pockets kind of in it?
Yeah.
Being that we don't know what it is and that it apparently doesn't molt, we haven't been able to
Haven't even found
find
any
any
Mothman
feathers.
feathers?
And hey,
No
I
Mothman
mean,
nest?
stranger things have done. Jurassic Park apparently made dinosaurs from a mosquito and a piece of amber.
Yeah, and that's real. Michael Crichton
Totally
wouldn't
real.
lie to me, all right? God, God rest your soul, sir.
I mean,
Um,
who knows? Maybe there is an island out there full of dinosaurs
it's
and
called Elan
Mothman.
Nublar. Come on. I was gonna tell you guys, with Mothman comes a another. Uh, I don't know if you would call it a cryptid or what. I they're not sure if it has to do with the Mothman, if it is the Mothman, or if they're two separate things. But in Point Pleasant, there was a uh, I don't know how to word it, a human looking fellow named Indrid Cold.
Oh, this guy.
And Indrid Cold is also known as the Grinning Man or the Smiling Man. Huge smile. Apparently, that smile never left his face, even if he was talking. I have it. Where was it? Oh, it's right here. Give me a second while I read this here. So, Indrid Cold was well, and I quote, well over 6 feet tall with a dark complexion. He had very beady eyes, which I like to say two pee holes in the snow, as my grandpa would have said. But anyway, sorry. Um, I'm also quoted as he was wearing green reflective clothing. His hair was black and slicked back. Now, I did some more in-depth reading and stuff, and I found out that um, there were two sightings at least. I could only get two or three. There were three, sorry, but there was only two that had lots of information. So somebody had also said that he had blue reflective, but it was still reflective, and it was like a trench coat, but he was also wearing like a suit underneath, kind of deal. Um, and that guy, the first guy who saw him, his name was Woodrow Derenberger or Darren Berger, if he's French. Berger. I think it's Derenberger.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say West Virginia. We're
yeah,
probably
I
gonna
know,
go with
right?
Barter.
Yeah.
But he was traveling on a back road again. Like I said, 60s, these back roads were gravel and all that stuff, right? But they were traveled quite often. He was stopped in the road when he saw what he thought was a giant glowing. He quoted as being a chimney type deal. It looked like a chimney, so I'm assuming tall and slender, some type of craft. And a being or a human, he thought at first, stopped him in the road and introduced himself as Indrid Cold, and he was smiling really big and was not talking, but was like telepathically communicating, which I thought was kind of interesting. Um,
Gonna be real
I'd like
uncomfortable looking at someone with a large Cheshire cat smile on their face and they're not saying a dang thing.
right, but like you're still getting like he so Woodrow was extremely frightened, obviously, and he said that he knew in his head that he was absolutely terrified. He wasn't saying, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," but this injured cold through telekinesis or whatever telepathy is what it is, not telekinesis, had told him, "Listen, we are not here to hurt you. You are safe." And he kept repeating that every time Woodrow would think, "Oh my God, I'm terrified." It would be, "We are not here to hurt you. We come in peace," basically, right? Which then leads me to the second story, which I find, even just thinking about it gives me goosebumps. Um, there was a girl named Linda Lilly, and she woke up in the middle of the night. So she was a young girl. She woke up in the middle of the night with to see a large human man, I guess, standing over her bed. And she said he was very tall and that he was a very tall, grinning man. He just smiled at her all the time and then disappeared. So I don't know. Um, I don't know if these two are one kind of thing happening or if they're two separate
Mhm.
things, or maybe this Indrid Cold was trying to maybe capture this Mothman who had escaped their realm. What they're the possibilities are completely
Just
infinite
a
because
Lilo and Stitch situation. That
basically.
would be pretty
So
cool.
yeah, it's very very interesting because there's no clear cut boundaries to this story.
Hmm.
It kind of folds into a whole bunch of other things, which leads you on other paths, on and on and on. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, there's even for those of you who are in the know and know who Valiant Thor is or was, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, it even extends into that story, which is bizarre because it has to do with the American government, et cetera, right? So, yeah, I
Yes,
just
and we
thought that
know
was really
everything that has to
interesting.
do with
And
that is a little loopy.
what's that?
We know everything has to do with the U.S. government is a little
That's
loopy.
right. Um, I just every time I think of Indrid Cold, for those who saw our first video, and that story I told where I saw that
Mm.
being or whatever through my window, that's exactly what I think. It's exactly what I envision. In fact, I even sent Mel after that video that we had filmed there and then we put on YouTube. I sent her two pictures. I said it was this, but with this face, like not a face, but like this smile, I should say. And
Mm.
turns out that that smile on the picture that I had sent Mel was somebody's rendition of what they had seen of Indrid Cold. So
Oh,
who knows? It's just
I'm
really bizarre,
interesting.
and it that's why this one creeps me out. And yeah,
My first question to that is who are we? There's only one of you, dude. Who is
what do you,
we?
what do you mean?
When he's talking to them, we're not going to hurt you. Who is
Oh,
we? Who is
there were
we?
apparently he apparently saw two, but
Yeah.
one was further away, so he just saw the outline of. Yeah,
There's many smiling, creepy creepers.
the other guy maybe his smile is downwards. Who knows?
Oh, they're like the symbiotes from, or not the symbiotes, the Cenobites from that Hellraiser movie that got twisted together, the twins. Woo. No, thank you.
Maybe
No,
they were
thank
their representation of yin and yang.
Yeah, that's right. So he
Oh.
was there. It's like, don't worry, I'm not here to hurt you. I kept the guy who wanted to
Guy in
hurt
the
you
back,
back at the.
yeah.
That's right, UFO.
I'm here to take care of you from the guy in the back who would probably have no hesitation messing you up.
Yeah, he wants to eat your face.
Yeah.
I'm just here to make sure
Oh,
he doesn't. But
It's like
I think it's
talking to Venom and Carnage.
yeah, that's there you go. I just think it's interesting because they're clearly two different things. Like you wouldn't see a
Mhm.
tall 6 foot human with um like reflective clothing and a head, first of all, um, with a giant grin. I don't know how you would confuse that with a Mothman. So I
I
need
mean, let's not get into the deep South United States. You find some weird
Hmm.
things in the swamps down there.
true, true. And to all our deep south people, we mean deeper south
We
than you.
mean no harm. We
We
just
mean deeper south than you.
yeah.
Um,
Think yourself, but far, far
yeah,
deeper.
Florida? No, no, no.
Oh,
We're talking about the Australians. Australia, it's the Antarcticans. Um,
Oh
but
my
I just
goodness,
think it's
Antarctica could be a whole nother video.
yeah, exactly right.
yeah.
That's an interesting one. Um, I don't know. I
We'll have to talk about
obviously they're
aliens at some
connected.
point.
I feel like they're connected, but the more I think about it, I feel like maybe Indrid Cold is some sort of like space U.S. Marshal. If you
I
guys
was
have
just
ever
gonna
seen the
say a
U.S.
space cop, a
Yeah,
time
like
cop.
if you guys have seen The Fugitive or U.S. Marshals, the movie, the same kind of deal as Tommy Lee Jones would be, right? He's chasing the fugitive, and maybe this guy's job, Indrid Cold's job, is to find whatever escaped, you know? So,
What
Right.
was the Jet Li movie with the alternate dimensions? Jet Li, was it the one? Or what it was called?
yes.
Something kind of like that, almost too.
Or, like if you've seen the movie Jumper, but instead
Mm.
of jumping between places on Earth, maybe they can. So,
Or
anyways,
maybe
it
they
just,
can jump it. I mean, it seems
yeah.
like this injured cold is kind of
But
around
here's the
and
thing,
in
though,
multiple places, or
is
maybe he is just the base model of, and that's he's actually multiple people, and he's just different alien, same skin.
but the thing is, I haven't heard of any other like reports of
Hmm.
Indrid Cold. Now, um, I can't say that I've searched huge into Indrid Cold, but
Hmm.
I haven't heard of anything. And you know what I mean? Like we hear about Mothman prophecies all the time and Bigfoot all the time and all that stuff, but I've only ever heard of Indrid Cold or a being like Indrid Cold with Mothman. You know?
You would think with
S-
social media nowadays somebody would be able to.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious.
Well, what if because injured cold, right, hasn't been seen in such a while, and then maybe has made his way back, and maybe what we perceive now as Slender Man could be injured cold. Just
Slenderman
a new
mask.
generation has now seen this,
Yeah.
and they've given it the name of Slender Man instead of Injured Cold, or what,
With
the
no face
Smiling Man or
instead of
something
all
like
of the
that from
face.
back then.
Which is an interesting point all of its own because
Mm-hmm.
that would bring up the idea of tulpas. I don't know if you guys know what the tulpas are.
No,
No.
I'm not aware.
When you so the theory is that when you think about something and you give it your energy over and over and over and you wish for it to be true and all that stuff,
Oh, and
the
it
more
creates
you
its.
give to it, then all of a sudden it's real. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
maybe we're collectively putting enough energy in to create something new. And there's
Mm-hmm.
examples of tulpa. I can't think of them offhand, but there's people who say like,
Poltergeist.
yeah, I drew this monster when I was a kid, and when I was 37, I saw this monster that I drew when I was 7. So,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Even
Okay.
but
like
it's
a
called tulpa.
poltergeist
It's called a
haunting
tulpa.
has the
So,
same kind of premise, is that it's created almost from the mental anguish
yeah,
or something from a human being, and then it has that
yeah,
sudden
it's
physical
basically the
effect.
same kind of thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Or even voodoo, you have to believe it will work for it to
yeah.
actually work on you.
Yeah.
I just didn't know there was a term for that.
Actually, you know what? I'll Google it. I don't know what language is it in, but
Okay.
while I
Very
do that,
Yeah.
please talk amongst yourselves.
interesting.
Well, I kind of wanted to get into maybe a little bit more of the skeptical side of it,
Yes.
and where maybe people are not really believing that this is a moth-like creature, but maybe something
Mhm.
different. There have been different reports where people have said that they figure that maybe it's an owl
Hmm.
or a thunderbird or even a large crane, a sandhill crane, stuff like that. these are obviously coming from people that have not actually seen
Right.
this creature and this
Mhm.
being, and they're just trying to understand it a little bit
Mhm.
better.
That'd be
But
interesting if it was a thunderbird, because that in itself is another
Mhm.
cryptid, right? That's kind of
I was
cool.
gonna say,
right,
yeah.
That's cool. I
Interesting.
yeah.
I don't see how you mistake a sandhill crane, no matter how big the sandhill crane is. You know, like it's got a long, skinny neck, long, skinny legs. Okay, this is probably what nobody ever wants to hear, but I used to work for a train company. Train company? It's a company?
Yeah, no railroad company. Yeah.
Yeah, a railroad. I used to work for a railroad. I was a train conductor, and going into towards Jasper, Alberta, Canada, which is a whole interesting thing that I've been reading into. Anyways, you we have to take our train, and it's not always by roads; it's by lakes and stuff like that. And there were tons of sandhill cranes. Sandhill crane on the tracks opens its wings and flies and tries to get away from us, and we hit it with our windshield. There's no way in hell I would ever mistake that with um, what they say the Mothman is.
So
And
just
the
not
crane
quick
was
enough.
fine. I looked out the window, it flew away. Um, but like, I mean, I could almost see the wings maybe, but even then, the wings aren't. They're not 10 feet long, 10 feet wide on each side like they were saying they were.
Right.
It's
Mhm.
not a. It's not a human size. It's not. It's not broad like I am. It's not even not broad like Mel. What's the opposite of broad? Narrow.
Narrow.
What do you mean? I'm big.
Big. No, I I can't do it. I can't fathom that one. Same thing with the owls. Um, that's a big ass owl, man. Like if you're
Yeah.
like the size of a Volkswagen or something, and then we come into the
What do
issue
you
of
eat if you're
how
the
does
size of a
yeah,
Volkswagen
how does
owl,
that
man?
Volkswagen Beetle sized owl fly?
Those are the owls that are making off with your cattle, let alone mice. Like,
The Thunderbird.
because what is the largest wingspan on the is the California Condor 7 feet?
I think actually, you know what? I want to say it's the albatross, but I think the condor is the biggest altogether. Hold on, I'll check it here.
Yeah, I was gonna say in North America anyway. But I feel like it's either 7 or 8 feet that is the longest kind of thing there. The
It
body
is.
size of the condor.
I have the answer. It's the
What is it?
wandering albatross,
Oh,
and from head to tail, it is 4.7 feet, and from wingspan, so wingtip to wingtip, 12 feet. So
okay.
yeah,
But there's typically not albatross in West Virginia, is there? That's not their.
I'm googling that right now.
Because then it could make sense. It could make sense that someone would see a giant, large winged thing in the sky with a large bird, a 4 foot something bird, attached to it and go, that could be a small person with a large wingspan. But I feel like the Mothman is typically considered to be like a darker color, darker gray or
Yeah,
black. The albatrosses are typically white, are they
white
not?
and gray. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
So,
came up with an idea. Maybe it's
mm.
an ostrich or an emu that has like mutated with large wings.
All I
Or
can think about is the emo that I follow in social media named Karen, who's like
yeah,
the meanest, most
yes.
nasty emu, but loves to cuddle, just barreling down on you from the sky. That would be a nightmare. She would
Now,
want to speak to all of the managers.
I
Okay,
think
so
something else that we have to keep in mind here as well is these are all reports. People have just
mhm,
reported this
that's right.
being
Words and
6 feet tall, 10 feet wingspan, stuff like that, right? So
Mhm.
if you're seeing something and you are shitting your pants,
Yeah.
are you really going to be 100% accurate? Or do you think that maybe the fear might over exaggerate things a little bit?
You are 100% correct, and that's why. Um, did you take policing courses at all?
I did.
It was you, yeah. I was talking. So did
Yeah, I'm
I.
the only one who lacks survival skills
Right.
here.
They teach you in times of like high stress and things to focus on certain parts to be able to remember them, and then you write them down right away and stuff.
Yes.
I would
Run
trust
away, run away, run away, run away, run
I would
away.
trust the descriptions a lot more if it came from a police officer or a military person. And
Right.
it's not because they're better people, it's just they are trained to be able to see something in a high stress moment
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
at least remember a portion of it, whether it's a partial license plate or whether it's the man has a beard and the beard was slightly red but black, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Although my father is a 33-year military veteran, still can't figure out if I am his wife or his daughter sometimes.
gross.
Calls me Mary.
No,
I'm not Mary.
I don't mean all military people because your dad's an engineer, yeah, or was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, no. There's nothing wrong. I make fun of engineers that work for the company that I work for. I Most of my buddies are actually engineers, to be honest with you. But yes, he would have been trained as a I was gonna say a militant. That's not what I
You
meant.
get army
You know what I mean?
infantry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
you
like
get
he
infantry.
would know how to fight. But I'm
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
specifically leaning towards those people who are like recon. You know what I mean? Like if you
Mhm.
needed whatever
Hoorah.
a combat sniper, for example. I have a buddy who was a sniper with the Canadian Forces, and that was what he did. He crawled in for 3 days with his sidekick or whatever, whatever they call him, spotter is what it is,
Spotter, yeah.
Yeah.
and he was there to watch if he had to, or if he was given the target, he would take out a target. But it was basically to like memorize as much shit as you can,
Mm.
and yeah. So I would, I would trust those descriptions a lot more than a sofa salesman or whatever they did back in the day.
Right.
I
That
have
being
the
said, though, this
distribution.
requires a lot of training to upkeep all of that stuff because I do have that kind of training, having been in a military family. But yeah, no, I still zero survival skills. I'm
Oh, I
screwed
thought you were
every
talking about
which
selling.
way.
I thought you were talking about selling sofas. I was like,
No, I mean, I probably could try. I
no, look.
just wouldn't be very good at
So
it.
For clarification, the wandering albatross,
Mm.
it is basically it circumnavigates the Southern Ocean, so it's not seen even remotely close to where we are. Like it's basically
Yeah, I think
Brazil
that the
and kind
biggest
of like
one in North
around there.
America is the condor.
Yeah, no, for sure it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I believe the condor also is the strong, like it can lift the most amount of weight as well.
Yes, yes.
yeah.
But it does not like the living. It prefers the
Yes,
dead. But it will follow you if you're still limping about.
that's right. That's why you
It's you're
fake
just
it.
fake out.
That's why you fake it, and then when they come down and land to eat you, then you attack it. Anybody? No?
Aha!
Mm.
It's from a movie. No?
Which one?
Okay. It's
Rango?
Conan with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, I thought it would be that Rango one where he was Johnny Depp was the little lizard. Blending, blending.
Never saw that one.
Honestly, I haven't either. I just know that scene. Pop culture. So
So
do you
I
guys
have
have? Oh,
yeah, I
yeah.
have two more things, but I have one more thing that maybe this thing could be.
Oh.
So today we have alligators,
Mm-hmm.
crocodiles, snapping turtles, all kind of derivative from dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm.
Could this actually be a possible variation of like a dinosaur, a
A pterosaur. Yeah.
different like
Oh,
pterodactyl or something of that sorts that's
Yeah.
evolved over time?
Interesting.
what were the ones with the feathers called? I always forgot what they were
It'd be
called.
some sort of pterosaur, right?
Right,
But
yeah,
to that point, there would
I'm
have to
gonna
be a
have to look that
breeding
up.
colony, right?
right. But there is a
Hypothetically,
lot of this world that's still gone unexplored.
In particular, the Congo, just in case you were curious.
And that would be
interesting.
great breeding grounds.
But then
Tropical
how would
weather,
That's
coconuts all
true.
over.
right? But how would it end up in West Virginia? Man, the world's a weird place.
I mean,
Anyway, I have the I have the definition of tulpa if you're interested.
Oh, yes,
oh yeah.
please.
So a tulpa is a concept in theosophy, mysticism, and the paranormal. It is actually from Buddhism, kind of like a Tibetan thing. But the definition is a magical creature that attains corporeal reality, so it becomes an actual physical thing, having been originally merely imaginary. So
Mm.
it's
Huh,
possible. So I'd like to
interesting.
know what people might consider a tulpa. So, but they actually have
Hmm.
what they call um, what is it? A tulpomancer, who is apparently somebody who's able to do this.
Huh,
So grain of salt, obviously, but
right?
I was gonna say, where do
yeah.
you get that training?
See, but then it's kind of creepy when you go on through like that kind of thing because then you think about like kids and their imaginary friend, right? Is maybe kids are the
Yeah.
reason why we have ghosts. They just
I
keep
mean, we certainly seem to see a lot more of them when we're younger, right?
right, but they just keep
Right.
imagining these imaginary friends, and they just keep existing. Exist. Eventually, the kid gets old enough, doesn't care about the invisible kid anymore. He just goes on, and then we just have these invisible kids everywhere.
This sounds like a haunted and a ghosty style video now we gotta do.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I am good for nothing except for the random offshoots of.
Of paranormal
That's
oddities.
right. That's right.
Oh, jeez.
And Carl, did you have another thing to add to that guy also?
Just kind of rounding things out here. So, I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
started this journey out in West Virginia,
Hmm.
in Point Pleasant, correct?
Correct.
So, they've embraced all of this notoriety and this
Oh yeah.
fame of sorts. And they actually have a Mothman festival every year. And it started in 2002. It's held on the third weekend of every September in the downtown area of Point Pleasant, where they actually have different vendors that come out. They have guest speakers, live music, food, events, and it's just turned into a fun thing for all ages where all people from around the world have come to experience this.
What
I
an
think that's
incredible
cool.
opportunity.
I think it's super cool.
I agree. I
I
think that's
think
a
that
really cool opportunity to bring people together who have been like fascinated by something like this and to just have them
yeah,
all be able to talk about it and maybe other things. And the Mothman obviously segues into so many other things.
yeah.
You know, it'd be interesting to hear what other people who maybe have even more knowledge about this than what we can find on the internet, you know, what they found or think about everything and what it is that they believe it is.
Right.
I I think it's really cool because um it's a small town that is taking something that um could be so negative because like there
Mhm.
were 40 some people who died. I think it was 40, whatever, 46
Yeah,
I
I think
think.
it was like 43 is the number that's
Somewhere
coming in
around
my
there.
head. Yeah.
People who passed away, which is unfortunate.
Mhm.
But they're not celebrating the bridge collapsing. They're celebrating Mothman, which is kind of
Mhm.
like their local lore, which I think is really cool because it's a good way to bring people in, a good way to keep
Mhm.
that town alive.
Mhm.
Um, but it also, in a kind of quasi bizarre way, keeps these people's memories forever
Mhm.
alive. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of cool.
Mhm. Mhm. It's almost like a continuation of the city there, and it probably enables them to like plan it out for the entire year just based around the tourism that comes in on there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. They've kind of taken something that, as you said, could have been very, very negative and turned it almost into a way for them to sustain themselves.
I found the numbers. So
Oh,
46 dead in the Silver
oh,
Bridge. I also remember another example of where the Mothman was seen, if you guys are interested.
oh yeah, of course.
So in 1999, there was an apartment building that was bombed in Russia,
Oh
and
yeah.
they had seen the Mothman prior to this, and there ended up being 300 people who were killed and
Mm,
scores more who were injured as well. So,
mhm, mhm.
yeah, so
And this
yeah,
almost kind of loops back to that,
Wow.
what is it he's drawn to, or
yeah,
it, or whatever it is.
that's
And
exactly right.
is it drawn to the, because that was another, a human thing, a human plan. Was it made aware? Was it a part of the plan? Was it
Yeah,
an
and that's the
influence
thing,
for the
right? Yeah.
plan? Was it
Um,
warning the residents there? How many wet residents took it as a warning?
yeah.
So many questions.
Like how many people are alive because they took it as a warning, or
Mm,
Right.
Um,
right.
I just happened to quickly Google Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Mm,
The 2021 estimate of population is 4,031 people.
mm,
The census says 4,101, so 4,101. Um,
mm,
it is a very, very small place. It is 3.09 square miles, or if you're Canadian and or everybody else in the world, 8.02 kilometers squared. So I think
Goodness, I
that's
could
pretty
run
cool.
that.
It's a
That's
very, very
tiny.
small place. Yeah.
Mhm. Very, very tiny. Hey, but
Yeah.
the small towns usually have that small town feel. Although
Yeah.
everyone will know your name and your business. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
I
Yeah.
like that.
I'm just checking out some pictures here, and it's exactly what you would think it would be. Like you would have a couple angled parking on the main street, and then people walking. Yeah, it's
One
pretty cool.
main diner, one main store.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right.
Wow.
uh,
Interesting. You
and the
guys might
bar
find
and
this
the
interesting.
restaurant are the same owners.
Yeah.
Do you
And are
guys
most
know
likely
a
either
professional?
mother and child, or like family related.
Your mother
Love
is
it.
your grandma? What?
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Whoa.
you guys might know this, or might not know this, might find this interesting, I should say. 2021 WWE Hall of Fame inductee Ray Stevens, the pro wrestler. Do you know him? He
Yes.
wrestled. He was the blonde bomber,
Oh, yeah. I was like, I
or
don't
the
know them by the non-work names.
Ray the Crippler Stevens. Okay, now he was born in
That
Point
one I know.
Pleasant in
Interesting.
1935.
Huh.
He's died in. He's already dead. He died at the age of
Oh,
60. It says.
Yeah.
wow.
Interesting.
Huh. So interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, the Mothman. What an interesting, and it was based on a book. The movie was based on a book, but to think that
Yeah.
so many of these things, like when I saw the Mothman prophecies, I didn't know it was based on a true story. And even when they
Yeah.
say that, I mean,
I
yeah,
had no idea it
Chainsaw
existed until I
Massacre was too, but like we know how
yeah.
similar that was.
Right.
I had no idea it actually was a thing until I saw Mathman, until I saw the Mathman prophecies, which led me to the Mothman prophecies.
That sounds like my absolute nightmare
Yeah,
right
no
there.
shit, eh? Hey, you're stuck with math forever. Um, it- what's 8 times 8? I don't know offhand. Um, it
Fire.
I I had no idea. So that was my catalyst to kind of like read into that kind of stuff because I've always been interested in like Bigfoot and UFO and stuff like that, but
Mhm,
no idea. Had never heard of it until I saw that movie and it just looked creepy. So that's why I watched it.
mhm, mhm.
Um,
Filmed very well.
I I have an issue with those movies that based on a true story, and you're like you had mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre that it's like base of what it's
Like you
based
have
on.
to really reach and struggle to
Yeah,
find the based on that
it's
one.
they say it's based on a true story, but the true story that they're basing it on is Ed Gein or Ed Gein, depending on where you're from,
Who last I
and
checked did not chase someone down a back road with a chainsaw.
exactly right. But the
He was
skin
messed
suit,
up.
the skin suit kind of thing, as well as
Mhm,
Silence of the Lamb with or Silence of the Lambs with Buffalo Bill,
mhm,
the
mhm.
serial killer in that movie.
It runs the
He was creating
legends.
a suit of women's skin, which is terrifying. But
Mhm.
that's exactly what Ed Gein was doing. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's always that one thing, and then they could be like, "Oh, it's based on a true story." What
Hmm.
I want to hear is like, this is 98% based on, or this is 11% based on, you know?
Right?
Just
Yeah.
add loosely in there.
Yeah,
You'll solve
loosely.
so many
Yeah, and you know what?
problems.
There are movies that throw that out there. This is loosely based on this, and you're like,
Hmm.
I appreciate that because it's
Hmm.
those ones
Hmm.
that are. I'm not talking like the movie. What was that Paranormal Activity or anything? I'm not talking about that because that's designed as a like found footage kind of thing.
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
I take issue with was there was a movie I think I told you guys about called The Fourth Kind,
Oh yes,
and
yeah.
it it took place in Nome, Alaska, which is a legit place, but they
Hmm.
said these are real events and this is real footage. And they interspersed um, real footage of actors who were, and they played it off as being completely real and sold it as real, but it wasn't a found film kind of thing. So it
Um,
basically it adds another roadblock to those people who are trying to find out real things
mhm.
because it shows them that like, oh yeah, these things can be super faked, and you shouldn't, you know what I mean, and it just
Mhm,
sucks so
mhm.
because
Something we
when
always
some
got to remember about the cinematic universe is that
yeah
it
when
is just magic
just and that's the
sometimes.
thing, just I'm totally cool with it being fake, but don't tell me that it's completely real if it's not completely real. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Although we
anyways,
know that Hollywood's not known for its
you're
honesty.
you're not wrong, and I could talk about this for hours and I won't, but
No,
I've
but we
taken up
will
so much of
eventually
your
talk
time
about
already,
Hollywood
people.
ghosts, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't have anything else to add, it sounds like we've kind of come to the end of our Mothman episode here. What an interesting creature to kind of talk about. It's one of those things where, is it good or evil? We're really kind of torn. Maybe let us know in the comments below, or maybe send us a tweet on our Twitters. Let us know what you guys think of this thing, and what your opinions are. Do you think it's good? Is it evil? Is it an omen, a harbinger of doom, or is it a healthy helperson? Let's get
let
to
us
talking about it.
let us know where you think it's from.
Yeah, what time, what era,
Right.
what country? I don't know.
Or
You can never know.
are you saying that it's a time traveler now, Mel?
I don't know what it is. All I know is I do not want a close encounter with it because I don't want to know if those eyes are a defense mechanism or if they're going to steal my soul. I like my
Well,
soul where it is. It can stay
if he
there.
stands in front of me, I'm gonna go straight for the eyes. I'll I'll
You
fall on the
guys
sword.
are
Which
different
ones? All four
levels.
of them?
Yes, I'll I will fall on the sword for all of you guys, and I will keep you updated.
We'll just
If
put
I
it.
die,
I'll
if I
have
die and I'm
voices.
not in the next few videos or whatever, just know that it
The
was for a good
Mothman got him.
cause. It was for a good cause.
R.I.P. Alex.
How'd he die, a
And
Mothman? Bullshit.
if you guys have had an experience with the
Oh yeah.
Mothman, I want you
Hmm.
to drop it. See down below there, it's going to be an email address, paramindful@gmail.com. We would love to hear your story and your experience with a Mothman.
Or any other
You
kind of
know what?
spooky
Yeah,
ideas.
yeah. Let's go as far as to say if you've ever had an experience with a cryptid, fire it off to the email. Let us know. Maybe if we like your story, we'll read it out loud.
And even if
Anyways,
you are just feeling like you are experiencing something that maybe you
yeah.
can't quite understand or explain, and just want someone to talk to about it, feel free to shoot one of us a message. We'll always be here for you. We'll tell you if you're crazy or not. But chances are you're probably not. And that also being said, we should also shout out our sponsor for Paramindful, which is Rogue Energy Drink. You can see our little promo code kind of going along down there. Rogue Energy has some new cans that just came out beginning of September, which I am so stoked to try. There is a strawberry one, there's a tropical blast one. I believe the last one is cotton candy. I myself, I don't know if you guys have. Alex, have you tried your Rogue Energy yet?
I have not. I have it. I have it, but I've been
Shame.
I've been really
Well,
sick.
this
So
Melball has, just so
yeah,
everyone knows, I have tried the sour candy one. It tastes like you are drinking liquefied Sour Patch Kids. Uh,
that's the one that I haven't tried yet.
you
So
better get on it because it
well,
is delicious.
I for those who were curious, I ended up with COVID, right? So there was no taste. So there was no point, right?
So you got to wait until you can.
And that's the thing, right? So
Fair enough.
yeah.
But yeah, sorry, the promo code is down on the bottom there. We'll also leave a link for the website in the description box below. But if you use our promo code OLE Pods, you can get 10% off your entire order. Make sure you pick up one of those starter packs. It's $17.99 plus tax, and you get 6 samples of your choosing between all of the hydrates, the pre workouts, and the proteins. So, that being said, Karl, my friend, if we are wanting to follow you on social media, where can we find you?
Easiest place is to go to Linktree, linktr.ee/Karl Karufel, Karufel. Karl is with a K. That's going to be the easiest way for you to do it. And I'm sure that through the magic of video editing, it's going to be somewhere on the screen here. Somewhere. It'll be
Magic.
available there for you. That's the easiest way to find everything that I do and all of my different links.
Mel, where are
Perfect.
you
And
found?
Alex,
I said it first. Where are you found?
where am I found? Well,
Yeah.
you can find the Melball on Twitter at Collins Melball, and you can find her on Instagram at Melball Collins, and magic will make all of that appear. You can also find me on Facebook at Melball Collins, as well. Oh, excuse me, as well as my wrestling Facebook fan page, which is going to be Andre and Melball's Wrestling Talk. And on YouTube, also at Andre and Melball's Wrestling Talk.
Mel, you need a link
Magic.
tree. You need to get
And
all those things in one place.
we also have to shout out our unofficial official sponsor in Dr. Pepper because Karl really, really likes his Dr. Pepper. I got the King can. I'm still waiting for a Queen can. I'm just saying, make it
Yeah, so
exclusive.
people at Pepsi feel free to sponsor us. I'm just saying, how you doing?
Can't complain about that. You got to get a doctor for these kind of crazy paramindful episodes,
That's
though.
right.
Right.
Pepsi, hit me up. Get me a mini Dr Pepper fridge.
Ooh, that would be fun. So, without further ado, you guys, I am your Melball. Shout out to the beautiful Astrid Pizarro. Down there is Karl. Over there is Alex. We'll catch you next time. Keep it spooky.